My guest tonight is a tireless advocate for victims' rights. As the founder of the National Center for the Missing and Exploited Children, he hosts America's Most Wanted, America Fights Back, and it's good to have him on our show as well as on our side. Please welcome John Walsh. Ladies and gentlemen, John Walsh. Nice to meet you. You know, John, it feels like we've fallen through some cosmic wormhole into some Superman Bizarro world where I even have to ask you this question, but how is the fight for victims' rights going in this country?
Well, it's not going well, actually. We've had 27 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, 4 of them for criminals' rights, and we've had a constitutional amendment for victims before Congress for 4 years, but there isn't a big enough lobby, or they don't deem it important enough to get it out, although every poll says that if it got out of the House and the Senate, that 49 of the 50 states would ratify it in the first 6 months, because you've got 7 years to do it. And it's going nowhere because there's no money behind it. There's no NRA, no, auto manufacturers. There's no big lobbyists behind it. And, Congress is just grinding along slowly, and this is the 4th year that we'll be introducing this Victims Amendment. It's really pathetic.
What does the amendment say? It should be a fait accompli. It's unbelievable. What is the common sense language?
It's only 2 pages long, never mentions criminals, and it says basically 3 things, and one of them you alluded to, that victims be notified of every part of the process, that they be given the same rights as the criminals. You know, I say the criminal justice lady with the blindfold, here's the criminals, here's the victims. Guys get out, they run right over to break the neck of the woman that they beat to get in jail in the first time. They get out of jail for rape because their low-life scumbag lawyer got the address of the woman who testified against them, and they go rape them. So it's notification. I had a woman case we did on America's Most Wanted. She was raped. The guy jumped up and down on her chest, broke every bone in her body, and slit her throat. He got caught. He was up for parole, early parole, because he did good time. What the hell else can you do in prison besides good time? I don't get this good time bullshit at all. So, but anyway, she wasn't even notified. She was paralyzed. She wasn't even notified of his parole hearing. He got out and raped again, and he did it for the 3rd time. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that people like the people in Oklahoma City can make a simple victim impact statement at the sentencing hearing. That judge with no testicles in the McVeigh case told the victims when they moved the trial from Oklahoma City to Denver that if they wanted to come and make a victim impact statement, they had to pay their own damn way. They couldn't attend the trial. If they wanted to attend the trial, they couldn't make the victim impact statement. So I talked to a lot of them because I was there the day after the bombing. FBI flew me in and said, look, you got to look for John Doe, John Doe number 2, which turned out to be Terry Nichols. And I was there to do the candlelight vigil because I'm the father of a murdered child and talk to the parents of the 19 children. But I stopped as I went by the bombing site, and the coroner said to me, would you please come into the morgue tent? My guys have been up all night. They've been cutting limbs off of people that are bent in there. We've been looking for bodies. And I went in to give them the pep talk, the John Walsh pep talk. And I saw the little feet and hands that they were piecing together to give to parents to give them enough to bury. And to tell those victims not to bring the pictures of their children into the courtroom, this judge said. I told them, bring them in there. And they did. And they said, you know what, Judge? And to the jury, this was my 5-year-old son. This was my 4-year-old son that was blown apart by this coward McVeigh. And he gave my kids the death penalty and me a life sentence of a broken heart, and he should get the death penalty. And what's been going on with McVeigh has been incredible because, just as you said, just for 4 or 5 boxes of documents, to let this guy get way past his 15 minutes of fame and just keep it going, because those scumbag lawyers of his bill us millions of dollars. They would love to see it go on.
Before we get back to McVeigh, what was the 3rd tenet of the amendment?
The 3rd thing is that no lowlife can benefit by his crime. John Wayne Gacy sat on death row in Illinois for 14 years. It cost $14 million to execute him. He killed 33 boys, if you remember, buried him in his basement. He was the clown.
The clown guy,
yeah. And
not that they're not all fucking clowns, but he was the clown clown.
Absolutely. He was a real bad guy.
Why does McVeigh get to make a statement? I think this draws the eye. Listen, it's a monstrosity. It's like the worst act of terrorism in this country. He's a nut. He's like a broken part. You weed him out. I cannot believe he gets to talk. How crazy is this guy?
He's loving his 15 minutes of fame. I want to get back to Gacy for a minute. Gacy made $250,000 while he was in prison for selling his perverted paintings of him sodomizing boys to other pedophiles around the country. And I've done specials in prison, and you can buy anything you want in prison. Cigarettes, drugs, dope, lingerie. You get a male prostitute come. So he used his money to do all that stuff. It took 14 years. McVeigh, you know what? I said, I had a simple solution to McVeigh after I saw what was in that morgue tent. Put his ass down in the general population. Don't put him in that isolated cell. And if his lawyers are so philosophically and morally opposed to the death penalty, why are they banging us out for $5 million? But a Folsom prison had 41 homicides in 1 year, down in the yard. Nobody was charged. The Crips and Bloods were killing the Mexican. They take care of business down the yard.
It's called short eyes, right? Anybody who does something to a kid, it's called short eyes.
Put that coward chicken shit McVeigh down in that yard. There's a code in prison for child killers. He'd be toast in an hour. That's street justice. That's what I believe should have happened to Timothy McVeigh. I don't believe he should have got $7 million. And he's getting his 15 minutes of fame. You know, he's talking...
What about the statement, though, the 15 and a half? What will this be about? And
he's just full of bullshit. In 1 week he's got the balls and he's going to go and he doesn't want to have the appeals. And the next week he loses his testicles and, he wants to get 15 more minutes of fame. And now he says he's ready to go, and everything. Well, let me tell you something. After my son was murdered, and when the FBI wouldn't enter the case, I was bitter and angry, and I butted heads with the FBI, and now I'm their man of the year and caught 14 of the 10 most wanted. But I didn't go blow up the FBI building. I went up and walked the halls of Congress for years to get the laws changed, etc. And this imbecile went and got a fertilizer truck and killed 180-some people, 19 of them little kids. And, he thinks it's a big deal. He thinks he really accomplished a statement against the federal government. And I say to those two lawyers, if you had a 3 or 4-year-old son, that daycare center that got blown apart, you'd want to kill Timothy McVeigh.
Now, you're out there amongst the cops now. How beaten down are they? The cops, I mean, they can't come out with it almost, or they're called vigilante, rogue cops or that, but they must just be so dispirited at all this
They're disheartened. I was at the memorial 3 weeks ago. It was Cops Week, and they put 150 names on that wall this year. 150 cops died in the line of duty. 5 of them were women, right? You know what I say? If 150 executive producers of TV shows like mine, 150 anchormen, 150 editors of newspapers were bumped off, it'd be a serious problem. But, they're just cops, And they can't do anything. Everybody videotapes them. They're always brought up. The weird thing, I was looking, if the Lakers win this year, right? Last year after the celebration out in the parking lot, they turned over 2 cop cars and burned the cop cars up, and the cops ran away, and they said, oh, it was good, nobody got hurt. What the hell, what's this that you can, they smash Shaq O'Neal's car? What the hell kind of society is this where you can celebrate the winning of the NBA championship by going out in the parking lot and rolling over cop cars and they can't do anything about it?
You can only bend over backwards so long, John, before you no longer have a backbone. And that's what's happened to this culture. It's gotten silly. We got a phone call, line 9. We've got Pam from Battle Creek, Michigan. Pam, welcome to my comedy show. Wow, you can't be jerking off with jokes every week. There's issues in this world. Go ahead, Pammy, what's up?
Well, I was calling, first of all, to say that you are absolutely my favorite, and second of all, to thanks John. My mother was the victim of a violent crime, and her assailant was on America's Most Wanted and actually was caught 3.5 hours after the fact.
God, that must feel good, John, doesn't it, huh?
God bless you.
But I guess we were talking about...
Say again, Pam. They were applauding John and we didn't hear it. Say again.
We were talking about everything that goes into it. He has been caught now, but what we're dealing with now is how do you keep the crime about the crime itself once it's in the court systems? A lot of garbage and things are brought into these trials, and it's almost like the victims themselves are put on trial.
I know, they put private investigators on these people. If they ever did anything in their past, they say they deserved it.
God, if you're a raped woman, those defense attorneys can just rip you apart. Did you have sex with the Dallas Cowboys? What was your whole sex life about? And here's a scumbag that's sitting there who's raped 17 women. He's getting all the tremendous protections protected by the court, and the woman is being ripped apart. And if you've ever seen a kid on the witness stand that's been sexually abused, it'll make you puke when these judges let these guys keep these kids on the witness stand for days. That's why lots of parents don't want their kids to come, go into the trial. I say you got to have the guts because the guy's going to do it. Like you said, they'll reoffend. And the system is broken. I mean, we all watched it during the O.J. Simpson trial. We watched the Dream Team. I don't know how the Johnny Cochrans and the Shapiros of this world go to sleep at night. I don't know how they do it, because you know what they did? It was like the Dallas Cowboys, the Dream Team, playing a bad high school football team. Marcia Clark and Chris Darden, who were banging each other during the trial. I mean, where does that come from?
Well, I believe we have a new rumor worthy of the View. I feel like I did not know that.
No, it was in their books.
Well,
it was in their books. But anyway,
banging on each other like Ito's gavel.
Absolutely, and you got it. And you know, OJ got away with 2 murders, and the lowlife is out playing golf. He's really looking for the murders, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's getting high in Miami Beach and playing golf every day. I mean, it's really pretty disgusting. I think people have seen how broken the system is. I think they're sick of it.
You know, when OJ moved on to Miami, he was greeted at the airport by hecklers screaming, "Murderer, murderer!" And it turned out it was just a limo driver trying to hook him up. Well, now, John, what's the one? It's a brief time, but what is the one thing we need to do the most that could change things a little? I mean, what would be the first step you'd take? Common sense.
I really believe that if everybody knew they had 2 U.S. senators and a member of the House from their district, and said, if you want my vote or you want my $10 or whatever you want to get reelected to Congress, because that's all they really care about is to get reelected. And you let them know you're not going to get my vote till there's a victims' rights constitutional amendment that would make it a national a movement and a national voice for victims. We're going to see victims. Some states, they have good victims legislation. Some states, they don't.
So lean on your local guy.
Lean on the local guy, absolutely. Change it through the system, but get that constitutional amendment changed.
You do nice work, Johnny.
Thank
Stick
you.
around. I'm going to do the news. John Walsh.